Hey there, Super Squad. Another great surge. Danielle Urban shared the attribution engine she created with a supered package that everyone needs in their HubSpot portal. She also dove into the details on not only why you need it, but also how to get your attribution efforts cleaned up. Matt also gave us a look at Super 2.0, and you aren't going to want to miss some of the amazing new features coming up soon. Let's check out the recording of the surge together now.
I run my own consultancy. I'm a solo entrepreneur, single person shop, and I don't have really any ambition to grow that. Maybe a subcontractor here and there, but for the most part, I'm just here providing services like lifestyle business so I can mom part time. But basically, I come in and help companies, SaaS businesses, make better decisions with their data in HubSpot. There are so many times where you come in and people are like, I just can't get anything out of this. I don't trust it. I don't trust HubSpot in general. And they need help getting their data to a point where they can make decisions about their marketing spend and their ROI and report up to the board. And I've done that a lot for the startups that I've worked at in a demand gen capacity over the years. So translating that over to a strictly ops focused function has been great over the last couple of years. So one of the things that I've learned along the way is a lot about UTMs, and that's where, it's one piece of attribution, but it's one piece that's often overlooked or misunderstood, I think, by a lot of clients, but even within MOPS sometimes. So major shout out to my friend Timothy McMinn. Tim really got me up to speed on this process, and his workflows were actually the basis of what I'm going to show you today. So major shout out, definitely follow him. These days, I think he's in-house somewhere, but he's the nicest person, always willing to help. But basically what he taught me is that you can capture HubSpot UTMs as a hidden property on forms, but you need to make sure that you clear them out after each conversion so that they don't get overwritten with mixed UTMs. So let's say in the first conversion that someone has coming in, you've got them on PPC. So you have that tag to high hell. You have absolutely every UTM tag that you can stuff into that PPC click. And then gratefully they convert and you capture that all in their form fill. Well, now the second time they come back, maybe they click through your newsletter and you've only tagged it up with campaign and the email channel, and it doesn't have all of the content term, et cetera, that you captured in the same way that you would with your PPC click. So it will only overwrite the UTM's tags that exist in that second conversion and leave the other ones as is, meaning you end up with this really messy blended data that's actually not useful for anything. So Tim taught me that you need to have a workflow to clear that. And we also, in order to clear that, we copy them over to another set of properties. So in this case, we just do first conversion, which gets stamped once, and then latest conversion that overwrites with every form fill. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today. So we'll start off with the latest conversion fields. This is a package that I put together in Supered, and I'll show you what that actually looks like in Supered once I've walked you through all the steps. But we start off with the latest conversion fields, and it just sets some internal properties for the latest lead source team so that we give marketing all of their credit because we know marketing needs their credit. And then if that conversion has a UTM source, we come over on this branch and just copy it across. And then at the end of that, we look for what it is. I've got some giant word clouds tucked into this to make sure that we categorize them into the channels that are important to my clients. So this is sort of my standard baseline, but this typically ends up getting customized along the way. And then we look at whether or not this contact was created today, because you can't do anything more than or less than 24 hours in your measurement of whether or not it was created in the last hour or the last day. So if they were created today, then we end here because they get pulled into the first conversion workflow. If they were not created today, then we go ahead and clear those UTMs so that we get ready for their hopeful second conversion or third conversion or whatever it might be. If there were not any UTMs detected, then we go over onto this branch and do everything based off of the HubSpot property latest source. And at first, when Tim presented this to me, I was like, aren't you just rewriting the HubSpot sources? Why wouldn't you use the HubSpot sources? But as you start to get into it, having these with your own categorization so that you can tie together everything that you're capturing in UTMs and what HubSpot is telling you, you can join it together into a single property, which makes your reporting that much easier and cleaner. So once the latest conversion fields are set, we check and see if the first conversion needs to be set. So if they were created less than a day ago and we know their UTM source, then it comes into here. Remember, from the latest conversion, we specifically did not clear those UTMs so that they can get pulled in this workflow. And it looks very similar to the other one, except we clear them all in this case. And then same deal over here. We set some internal categorizations for lead source team, lead source type. We grab from latest source over to first conversion if we don't have the UTMs. So we're really just mapping everything over into a single set of properties that we know we can trust and we can report on. I've had so many clients say, I want, opportunities by source. And I'm like, but what do you mean by source? Because there are like 20 different ways that you can define what a source is. So getting these set to a place where you're like brute forcing them into some structure that you've designed makes it a lot easier to come back to your client and say, this is what we're reporting on. These are the options that we have, and this is how we can change it to suit our needs based on the activities that you're doing and that you need to measure. So from these ones, we have a lead source workflow. And this one is pretty similar, but it looks more at what is it that they did. So how they came in, what is the thing that brought them to us? And I recently made a cheat sheet that I can share with the super team to get out to everyone, that is looking at the different sources that you can use in HubSpot to report on things, because we now have original source, latest source, record source. And then you obviously have these derivative ones that I'm creating in this package. And it gets to a point where people are like, what even is a source? And having that, again, defined in your own way really helps to streamline the reporting, make sure you know exactly what you're doing. So this tells you more about what it is that brought people in. I still tell people to focus mostly on your source reporting for the how, and then use the actual form or the landing page to determine the what, because those should not be mixed together too much. If you've got, a newsletter, external paid newsletter as a how, like how you brought people to your website or to an asset, and then you want to report separately on the asset, well, you probably promoted that asset multiple ways, and you want to assess which way of promoting it was the most effective or had the best ROI. And if you have it mixed together in UTMs, then it can be really difficult to separate out, like, this is the thing and these are all the ways that we promoted it. So again, making sure that you have that structure super, super clear, and using a lead source or a separate property to determine what it is that they were doing.
Danielle, really, you're getting a lot of excitement about this being in a super packaged.
Yes, I will definitely show that off. It's like the craziest super package because it has 52 properties. So I will definitely run through that, because we're creating all of these derivative properties. And one of the other things that I did that I don't really have pulled up here to show off at the moment is take this and stamp the latest conversion UTMs, or the latest conversion sources, onto the lifecycle stage change. So there's another workflow that says when they become an MQL, stamp all these things. Like if there's a UTM source, stamp it onto an MQL UTM source. So it takes a little while to fill that in because it's a difficult thing to backfill. Not impossible, but really difficult and probably not worth your time. But if you have, a campaign coming up and you want to track how far the lifecycle stages go with that campaign, then you've now got it stamped for every step of the lifecycle stages someone might go through. And again, we need to customize that to company versus contact. And I just discovered last week that company lifecycle stages don't have a became a stage date. So that's fun. You have to create those too. But there's a lot that you can build into the package. So the other thing is a lot of times people will come in from offline sources. If you do, say, a partner webinar where they share the registrants, or you're at an in-person event that you're co-hosting and you get an import, there are always offline sources, especially when you add in like Apollo and Zoom Info and all of those things where people just dump contacts into HubSpot. So when you're defining these lead sources and conversion sources, especially if they're coming in from Apollo and Zoom Info, then you need to figure out what is in this account that you need to map to in that workflow. And so I created this report, which in my dummy account doesn't look like much, but in most of my client accounts has a massive list of all the different offline sources that we probably haven't caught in setting up this workflow and dumping it in. So this really helps me deliver that solution and implement it much, much faster because I've sort of built in the guess and check that I need to be able to customize it. So it still takes a couple hours because you have to sort of fine tune all the little pieces and make sure you have it tracked across all of them. But having this built in a supered package means that you drop in like 80% of the work, and having this report is just another piece that helps you. Like, it's totally back end. I would never point the client to this report, but it means that I've got the information ready to go that I need to continue to implement things. So then I'll just show you guys supered and what's inside. I have an ambition, had and continue to have an ambition to make this an off-the-shelf solution where I can just send somebody a magic link from Supered and they have they have all the information they need to implement it themselves. When I started building this out and implementing it for some of my clients, I was like, oh, I can't trust anybody to do this. This is crazy. But there hopefully will be someday where I can build in some maps to this that shows them where things are, what you need to update, how you use the different pieces that are in here, even embed some videos explaining basically what I'm explaining to you today. Like, make sure you customize this piece. Here's what you want to look for, and just have that all ready to go. So I've got a couple cards pre-built in here when I was initially building this out that give a description of what is inside this package. And here are the 52 properties that get dropped in. So you can see for each life cycle stage change, we've got customer UTMs, and then we've got customer last page seen, because if it's not, if there aren't UTMs, or if the last conversion was not related to UTMs, then we want to make sure we grab something so that we can indicate that. But most importantly, you get first conversion and you get latest conversion, FC and LC, and then that's just duplicating the UTMs into something more meaningful. And then, of course, your lead sources and how that maps out. So we try to categorize our content, and that lends another layer to the what that I was talking about, where the landing page can tell you the exact thing that it was. The form can tell you potentially the exact thing that it was, or the form and landing page combined, depending on your implementation. But being able to categorize that as, well, these are white papers. How do white papers perform for this business? How do webinars perform for this business? This gives you one level of abstraction to be able to report on a slightly more general analysis of what type of marketing content you're running. And I think that's it. I think that's all I've got to show today.
You say that with such ease, but that's a ton. And
It is.
everyone's mind is blown because, wow, you've done all of the work. And all you have to do is push a button to put into your client's account. So can you actually walk us through how you are delivering it? So you kind of talked about it a little bit, that you were a little reserved on like pushing it out and giving other people the ability to do it. So walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, it's like handing a 16-year-old the keys to your Ferrari, especially, which, sometimes is really fun just to see what happens. Don't recommend it though. But I think in most cases, my clients are coming to me and working with me because they don't know what's happening. Like, they don't know how to make sense of their data. If they knew what was going on and they could get to the point where they're architecting a solution like this, they wouldn't have called me in the first place.
Right.
And so this is sophisticated, and there's the gap between what my clients are coming to me with versus implementing this solution is a giant gap. I'm sure that there are people out there who, would not need my services as a service provider because they have, some really great minds on their team to be able to think through these types of things. And so those are the people that I would want to target with this sort of prepackaged solution. But finding that product market fit is going to be a very delicate balance, because if I hand the keys to a 16-year-old and I really need to hand the keys to a 25-year-old and I don't know how old they are, then it's not going to go well. And the 16-year-olds will get really mad at me. So we'll try and figure out how to best frame this so that I can hand it off to people. But right now, working with my clients, they're coming to me in sort of a desperate state. And so a lot of times there's like cleanup and process mapping that I do on my services intake process. So really working with them around like, what is the most important thing to you? Because if they're not trying to increase their investment, or they're like, we have webinars working, like, don't talk to us about anything else, then I'm not going to turn them loose on this. But that's usually not the case. So then I go ahead and implement it for them. And so far, I think I've implemented this 3 or 4 times now. It's been a huge learning curve for me, even like how much can I pre-package and how much do I have to customize and hand off. And that's one of the reasons I haven't quite been ready to turn people loose yet. I think one more implementation and I can really fine tune the process and sort of record myself doing it in maps and more notes and documentation.
Yeah, I find the action of actually documenting it helps me realize what the additional gaps are. So when I'm trying to tell someone else how to do it, I'm like, "Oh, wait, I actually have to figure out that part out too and make sure they understand it."
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So yeah,
There's the
that's a lot of
package.
fields.
Yep, 52. Yeah.
How much time has it saved you? So I know you said like 80% of the effort, but like what does that look like in hours?
A lot. So I think it's hard to monetize because I think prior to this, I would be looking at more of a custom solution. And I actually just had a client experience where I was a subcontractor and I was limited by hours. And I don't typically bill on hours, but in this case, with the arrangement, that it made the most sense. And so I kept sort of holding this back where I was like, first of all, you're not worth it. Like I don't have enough hours to bill you for what this would be worth. But I felt myself sort of hitting that point where it was like, well, if you just had this, then we could do this. And so I implemented like one or two pieces of this where we do sort of a lead source, where we do the UTM capture and have that ready for them. But getting to the point where I recognized that was needed. And then there's some like learning curve where I recognize that. And that alone is probably hours of experience that go into that decision. And then there's the actual implementation, implementing it for this client where I was billing hourly. It probably took me an hour or two to get parts of this set up. Whereas if I were to just go nuts and implement the whole thing, it would probably take me 2 hours and maybe some versioning or rounds of edits.
That's a great point too. You said that it's the value, not necessarily the time. And
Right.
that's what you've done. You've really operationalized a lot of that learning and the all of the parts and pieces that you needed to create to get to it. And you're now able to offer additional services and additional
Right.
resources on top of that. So, are you seeing a growth in that more customization side now that you've gotten really standardized in what you're delivering?
Yeah, I think so. I'm able to deliver so much more and they see so much more value in me because I'm able to deliver this so quickly. So not I'm not necessarily trying to grow the amount of like services I'm offering or the things that I can do, but being able to get them to the point where they feel like they've got something. And I know a lot of times in the sales process, everyone wants to know, well, what do I get? Give me a checklist of the things you're going to deliver. And we all hate doing that. But this at least is one where I can like almost bill it as a separate line item. Like, I will provide my strategic services in this package. And then, hey, here's a bonus, whether I make you pay for it or not, is another thing that I can throw on top.
Yeah, that's a good point. So how are you presenting that like at upfront when you are engaging a new potential customer? How are you framing like how I'm going to deliver this to you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't talk much about Supered being the delivery mechanism for this. I do tend to talk about Supered later when we talk about process adherence, and I start to uncover what their processes are. But in those first couple sales conversations, I usually do like one meet and greet, like, are we a fit for each other? And then potentially another conversation to talk through the details of what I'm offering. So I always send them a proposal after the first meeting. And sometimes we talk about attribution if it makes sense to bring up because that's a focus for them. And they've made that very clear that they're looking to grow. They need to measure ROI. When those keywords come up in that first conversation, it's like, well, hey, I've got this attribution engine. I can include this as part of our package price. I'll make sure I get that over to you in our proposal. And I frame it as a separate thing. Like, hey, I could be really nice and include this for you. And I tend to do that with my marketing contacts management as well. So if they're already using marketing contacts and they don't have a good management process in place for that, I have that as another package. It's much, much smaller. It's like 2 or 3 things. And then I'll throw that in as the like, here, you can have this too.
Oh,
And hopefully it helps close the deals.
nothing wrong with a little extra bonus.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through how you are using this for enforcement? Are you after you get this in, how are you enforcing that they're keeping up, maintaining these all of these property? I mean, there's 52 property fields. Like,
Right.
what are they? What do they need to do, and how are you enforcing that?
Yeah, the good news about this one is it's mostly automated. So it's pretty hands off for them to keep things up. The only thing that I need to make sure people do, and I've actually got this in a client package, I think. So we'll go take a look at them. I need to make sure that when they are creating forms, they are, where are they? Oh, I only get 10. There we go. Second page. I need to make sure that they're including the UTM hidden properties and anything else that's relevant to making this engine run on the forms themselves. And so for one of my clients, I've had this properties to include in a new form. It's specific to them because we have some other like nurture things we've built out where this location type and restaurant category is really important. But making sure that they know the UTMs need to go in hidden properties on a form and that they're blank. This one I've coached them pretty well, but I set a trigger on the properties to frequently used properties text on the form creation page, because that's the first thing that you see when you go to create a brand new form. So now we've got our little tooltip that is next to those frequently used properties. And even before I rolled out this card, because I've done this one for 2 clients now, I tell them, like, I'm going to go do this, and this is where you're going to see it, and this is how you see it. Go create your super login. Like, this is how you're going to make sure that this works for you long term.
That's great. Yeah. If they don't know it's there, then you got to show them it's there. And once you show them that's there, you have to show them how to do it. So
Right.
I love, yes, absolutely. I love that. Any other questions from the group? I know I see a lot of positive like thought processes on how you're delivering and using Super to deliver and using it to really get things in front of your users and in front of your clients. Um, I would love to hear any questions that the group has, or if there's any further thoughts that you want to share. Madison wants to know how do we get this? And is it illegal to ask for it?
Yeah, we can connect. That sort of training aspect of making sure you know everything that's in there. I would love to do like a 15 or 30-minute coaching session on like, here's what it is, and then I'll turn you loose. You're a 25-year-old I'm handing the keys to. So yes.
I love that. I love that thought. Erin says she's in.
Cool.
Awesome.
We can do a separate, I'll connect with you both and we can do like a little learning thing.
Yeah. Erin says this is what we're missing. And you know what? A lot of ways they're building out these amazing assets, right? You
Yeah.
can do this, you can do this. It's got this. It's all of these things are included. And then they're leaving out the part of how do I get it there? Like where does it go next? And that next step is the magic, right? Right. If you can get it right in front of them, or even in their flow of what they're doing, they're going to do it. They're going to see it. They're going to pay attention to it, and they're going to make use of it. Awesome.
Yeah. One more quick thought on this. This is built mostly on properties and workflows. So it's intended for anyone that has pro and up. For some enterprise accounts, there's a whole other thing I want to try. And then I'm like starting to build out for some clients that do have enterprise. But most of the clients that I've started with to this point have come in on pro and then potentially upgraded to enterprise. But I wanted to make sure that we can deliver value as soon as possible without making them upgrade. So this one is totally based on properties. And that's why it looks so insane with 52 properties. But in an enterprise install, then you could potentially do things more in custom objects. And so I'm playing with that. More to come.
Oh, I love it. Sounds like another surge.
Yeah. Talk to me like 6 months from now. Maybe I'll have it built.
You got it. Sounds good. Awesome, Danielle. That was amazing. I appreciate you walking through that. I'm going to let Matt get back up on screen, and then we will actually talk about some of the new feature updates and some of the things that are happening in Supered, and maybe combined with what Danielle just showed us and what Matt's going to share with us, it'll spur some nice ideas and some things that you can start building out in Supered yourself. There's Matt and screen.
Yeah, my computer died.
No.
So I just restarted it and I'm back. But let me get my, 1 second. I mean, I could always just do my Logitech.
You're good. You're good. I do want to open it back up and make sure if anybody does have any questions for Danielle or even for Matt as he's going through the super duper feature updates, go ahead and put those in the chat. We'd love to make sure we're getting everyone's questions answered. Love it. Oh yeah, and I'll share Danielle's LinkedIn profile so you guys can connect there as well.
Okay. Okay. The biggest. Have to hop. This was awesome. Yep. See you, Madison. Okay. So The biggest updates. There's really two. I just want to sit with two for a second as we think about what's coming. And I'm putting these in Super Jam so everybody can see them as we have. The first one, actually, I'll go to LinkedIn because I made a really bad video about it. I've seen it.
I thought it was a good video. It was fun.
Okay, I'm going to it now. Once I see it, okay. So we're going to share my screen. So this idea of we are having and it comes out as soon as it comes out is in-app guidance. Okay, so when I talk about in-app guidance, we're calling it tours. And so inside of tours, so it's just another function of maps. So if you have a map, you can now do tours. Inside of there, you'll see this. On the right side, there will be a button called tour. So some people have thought this was journeys. This is not journeys. And journey, if you thought this was journeys is going to blow your mind when you see it, because journeys is a full LMS that includes a map and includes a tour. But I actually have to have this. This is an ingredient. This is of what you're assigning someone to do. So in the future, think of this. You could assign people to do specific actions that are guided in any URL. So start to think which doesn't exist in LMSs today. So we're reinventing that entire category, and that's and I just say we're planning and we're marching towards exploding ecosystems. Here we go. So you play. Okay, so what I want to say here is, as you're guiding this, it's telling you where to go, but it also shows what you have to type. It tracks what you type, and it tells you what to do next. And there's an image of what to do next as well. So if something's a bit wrong, it even shows you. So, and it goes down. So look, you'll say yo. So he's not typing what we want him to. He didn't say I really did super. He's just typing. It's track he typed. Now it's telling me where to click. And then after he clicks, it's going to tell him then do this. But you'll see this is actually check marking what people are doing. And you'll see it's navigation. We'll have that where actually link. It's all built in this navigation. So you can actually go from one URL to another URL and have people do specific actions. So this is pretty darn cool. What's next is this. And so I think this is even cooler. So forgive me as I'm doing this. So this is all going to be free. This is not something people are paying money for. This is I don't know how long it's going to be free, but it's going to be free for at least however long it is. But right now, this is free. And our intent is our maps product, just like tours and app guidance, blurs. This is traditionally, if you were to go to ScribeHow doesn't even do this. So let's ScribeHow can't even talk about it anymore because they don't do in-app guidance. Maybe a Tango, for instance. This is $15 to $30 a user. But now you get free and super. And I think the world will explode when people actually know this is happening. So I spend a lot of time talking to partners. You're about to see me spend a lot of time talking to end users, a lot of time spending to end users. And we don't do that thing that end users need called services. So if you look at the plan, is we spend a lot of time creating, we serve our primary customers or partners, period. We need things that you can use to deliver value for your clients, which is this. And this is free, and you'll be able to replicate them. You'll be able to push them in packages. And it's white labeled. You can change the colors of things that are glowing. It's just it'll all be white labeled when it comes out from day one. This comes out next weekish. So it's real. The next thing we're doing is, if you have people, I don't even know, we're doing Free Willy. You'll find out what it means when we launch. But if you go to that post and you type in Free Willy, we're launching this, you will get something special. And you'll be excited when you get it. That's all I'll say. So feel free to do that. And if you don't do it, you're choosing the wrong thing to do. If you wanted to go LinkedIn, it's my latest one, and it's sitting there. Okay, next. So that is groundbreaking. There are some products that is their product. That is their product. In-app guidance with this, that is their product. I keep saying that is their product. That's just an announcement for us. What we're doing next is even what I call even bigger. It's the actual 2.0 relaunch that you've seen in Super Jam, but I'll talk a bit more about this because you've seen this. So it's sitting here. So we're coming, and this is, I'm just going to walk through some of the big, so there are probably 25 changes. I just walked with Steve before this on a one-on-one with him. I said, show me everything that's changing. And I'm like, holy crap. So things aren't even here. So they're big updates. Number one, on the top left side, you'll be able to now from the app drop down, switch between partners, and be able to go directly where you need to be able to make changes. So you no longer have to go to the partner button and do another click. You just go to drop down and you will have where you will actually have everyone that you have an account for that you can go directly in. That's a big change. That's next. It's not ugly. I've always thought our app, but I prioritized like function over. I wanted some high heels and I was prioritizing function. Now we're gonna have some like nice shoes and they're gonna be comfortable. And so this is we have it. This is I talk about Super 2.0. Things we brought out is people are not using updates like they should. Updates allow you to control users, so you can start, stop, and escalate. So anytime you put something, you install something, you do something awesome, you fix one of their problems, you should be seeing an update. We're just gonna make it more like we're gonna unhide this. We're going to put more emphasis on it. You'll see things like recurring income. We should use it for nurturing. So we've moved that out. Processes, these are where process rules live, and we have big visions. There's not a big vision. We have a plan to execution of like being able to visualize processes, having notifications when people are missing them. So we're bringing bringing updates out because it's a separate function modal. From here is we're introducing the idea of bases. Bases used to be what we call collections, but then we're revamping how bases work. You will now, between collections, be able to drag and drop folders, drag and drop cards, copy and clone between different bases or collections. And these are the things you're putting in your packages. And we're introducing, which I can't show you, a whole new idea of something called client bases, which is the next thing we're working on, that will allow you to deliver via Supered and will become sequential tasking right after it. Things that are like little cool things. You can put emojis now on bases, and you can have icons. You can put emojis on we're going to start to make it. It's going to be more like Notion-like, if you would, directly inside. So there's some of the big items, but there are. And the next one we do, there will be a home screen. So instead of card collections, there's a home screen here. This home screen, you can put your most recent cards, your favorite cards, things you just changed on the right side, and it will be drag and drop modals that you can put on. You can even say, here are the things you need to read. So you can have, here are my company visions, here are my company values. So we will do it very quickly as soon as this is out with Supered, and you will see what it looks like. Then I built the sidebar. Wow, I don't like the other one. Yeah, Steve, I was just trying to be, I liked it. And then, yeah, you're right. The new sidebar is so much better. It's like hard to look at the old one. There's going to be even more updates here, things like ability to put folders and forms directly in. You will see it when it comes out. We're going to talk with it with more continuity because they're just releasing so much at one time. It will be a full digest of every single thing. Just know it is a 2.0. It is a rethinking and just confirmation of all the learnings over the past 6 months into one update. And you'll see that reflected. Okay, I'll sit for any questions if we have any as we go through. It's okay if we don't.
No, we don't have any questions. I do want to say I'm an organizational junkie, and Steve keeps giving me all kinds of fun features that lets me go in there and think of how I can organize my content so that I'm not hunting for it on a daily basis. And I love it. It makes me very, very happy. It gives me like multicolor highlighters and folder organizational happiness. So I appreciate it. Any other questions? Matt, I'm going to put in the link for the sharing the Supered solutions via Smart ASS. If you would like to walk through that with the team and give everybody an idea of what we're doing and how we're looking for Supered solution submissions from our partner set. Oh, you're on mute. Still on mute.
Here you go. Yes. Open up a can of Bodhi. Submit your Supered solution. So adopt Supered solutions. Here, so the intention behind this, the frame is we want, and so let me go further. Let me go Supered. Okay. When people ask us, hey, where are your thoughts? How are you doing it? This solutions library, we're going to put a lot of time and attention into it. So we'll make these easier. Okay, we'll make this easier to understand what solution they're fixing. The images will be more topical. You'll know who's done it, Supered, what it affects, who's it by. And so what we're starting to do, because I say we're about to go to end users, and end users are asking us lots of questions. I would like to say I don't know the answer, but I know people who do. They're called Supered partners. And if you want to go help, how do I adopt Supered solutions? let's go open up go be a smart at, like, like go do that and then go here. And so we're going to go hard, and it's going to be very bold and bombastic, but this is where we're going to start promoting our partners' solutions. You should include, when you do these, I'm going to, like, is any applications. So you will have like in-app guides. Do this, click this button. It can be about anything. How to run payroll on Rippling, right? You can do anything you want here. If it's something, a host of people, and it's the more meticulous, the better, the more thoughtful, the more content, we will do it. We are doing one winner per month that we're picking, that we're going to promote as part of this solution that we are starting to put on top of this, that we are promoting and pushing, that we're going to share with HubSpot that we're doing, etc. So if you have them, put them in and get them in. And we'll do this each month. We'll be running promos. You'll see Rose running promos as we do a submission. I think we had way too many already, and we're trying to do rolling. So if it's a good submission, put it in. And if it didn't make it last month, and every submission we get for the next month is bad, we'll pick your last one last month. Like, it's going to be rolling. And so we'll keep you updated on, like, we're thinking about how are we showing updates on who's currently up and who's about to open up their can, and we'll figure it out. But the intent here is to showcase you. So period. Even to the extent, if you have HubSpot schemas you would like to show as like little touches, like, hey, here's how you do med pick, and the one super dud isn't good enough. Here's another way of doing it, and here's why it's better. If you want to do if you want your marketing, like, just do that. You can put that here and then use it as a lead gen form, a much, much, much better ebook, because everybody hates ebooks because they don't do anything. Now you can actually give people that of substance. So you open up a can that actually tastes really good, right? And so you're helping people win. Okay, so that's the intent behind this.
I love it. Danielle, you actually have a magic link for your package. Do you want to talk a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm a little new to magic links, so I guess just find me on Slack if you have any questions.
Awesome. And that's in Super Jam, right?
Yes. Yeah, I just updated my profile picture to that lovely superhero photo you guys made for me. It's wonderful. My 5-year-old did tell me it was going to give her nightmares, but we'll just ignore that comment.
Love it. So sounds like Danielle's attribution engine will be being submitted into open up a can of Whoop ASS going on here soon. So it might be something you'll be seeing on Supered Solutions very soon. Awesome.
Coming up.
Any other questions from anyone? I'm excited to get all of these solutions in and have some, more experts bringing what they're doing and how they're delivering using Super out to the world. And this is just a great forum for us to all learn from each other and, really evolve the product into something that you're using and bringing to all of your end users. Awesome. Anything else, Matt?
Remember to stay awesome, keep doing it big, and never stop believing.
Absolutely.
Especially in yourself, because you're awesome. Adios.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Thanks, Matt. Bye, Lindsay. Bye, guys. Wow, what a great use case of Super. Thanks, Danielle. I'll catch you on the next Surge.
Okay.